Hi everyone and welcome to the Lure Fishing Project. This is the Atomic Tournament Series, New South Wales Tournament Series, St Georges Basin round, brought to you by Fishcraft. That's a big mouthful. This one was run on the 30th and the 31st of May in 2026. It's a cracking round with some really, really interesting stuff. Well, I want you to pay attention to the lures. There's definitely a theme there. And also there's some interesting things in terms of the way the basin is progressing. It's been tough there for a couple of years and it really feels like it's on its way back to what we might have seen in the future with some. Anyway, I'm going to let the anglers tell you all about that. What I'm going to do is roll the intros, the new intros. Tell me what you think. I hope you like them. I like them. Here is the intros and we'll get into the angler interviews. Here we go.
Welcome to the Lure Fishing Project, where Australia's best lure anglers share their tips and stories to help you catch more fish and have more fun on the water. Here's your host, Andrew Deeth.
All right, let's get into this one. So in terms of the fish activity wheel, we had 87 with the major bite period at a 9:35 through to 12:05 p.m. High tide was at 7:45 at 1.1, running down to a low tide at 1.16 at 0.40. On day 2, on the Sunday, it was 95 in the fish activity wheel. So we're getting close to a near perfect day, apparently. The minor bite period, so this came into the competition time for the Sunday, was at 6:09 a.m. through to 7:39 a.m. The major bite period was at 10:24 through to 12:54, with a high tide at 8:27 at 1.05 and a low tide at 1:47 p.m. at 0.44. Now, down in the basin, for anyone that's fished it a bit, the tides in the main part of the basin they don't really move that much on a day-to-day basis. But the reason I do share these tides and bite periods is if you're going to go down there and try and match a day or, try and repeat what someone did, then knowing what the tides were on that particular day, I think is quite helpful. Anyway, very cool, very interesting comp. Equals second. It's quite unusual that happens over a 2-day event. And let's get into the angler interviews. Here we go. All right. So coming in equal second, we have Team Flick Wits. They dropped their 5 fish weighing 3.05 on the Saturday, backing it up with the second biggest bag on the Sunday of 3.4, giving them a total of 6.45. And second and third place, I've got Luke West. Welcome to the show, mate.
There you go.
Mate, I am good. That is a great result and an interesting result. It's not very often that we get a dead tie in the top of the field.
Oh, never seen it before. I'm sure it's happened, but yeah, we were holding on. And I remember when Grant goes to Marlon, he goes, "Oh, you need 4.26 or something like that to take the lead," because we're actually in the lead until Team Shimano were coming in. They were going to weigh in last. The scale said it was 3.26 or something like that. Exactly. I was like, no way. How is that possible?
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're trying to get that win.
Yeah. When Grant said I used her in first, I said that's going to be short leave until Jason comes in. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I was going to say you had a pretty decent lead. It'll be hard to run that down.
Oh, you need at least 6 kilos both days to get something like that.
Exactly. All right, mate. Tell us with this one. Did you get a chance to get down there and have a bit of a pre-fish?
Yeah, so I wasn't going to pre-fish. The weather was looking pretty bad and I'd booked in for an RDO at work and I was holding off and my boss said, if you don't go to stay at work. End up calling it late Thursday Arvo. I was like, you know what, I'm going to go down there, try some new areas where we haven't fished before and just have a bit of a feel around. And that's pretty much exactly what I did. I pulled up on some spots I've never fished before. And the second spot that I pulled up onto, I dropped the scope in the water and I was like, what is that? And I had 2 casts and got 2 34s, I think they were. And I was like, oh, I've got to get out of here. And then I went to another spot and the same thing, and I was off the water by 10 o'clock.
Okay. I know you're in a newer boat. Is that the first time you fished it in the new boat?
No, definitely not. We're an eastern side team. We love to go over the eastern side and fish shallow water. We've done it for the last 2.5 years. Love fishing the weed and right up in the shallow waters and sight cast and fish and stuff like that. But I was like, you know what, we've got to try the deeper water. We've got the scope to be able to do it. And that's what I did. I tried between 2 and 3 meters. And for me, that's where the fish were.
Okay.
And we went straight there on Saturday.
Okay. All right. Well, let's roll straight into it. You ended up with just over 3 kilos on Saturday. Tell us how you went about catching those.
Yeah, we went to one of the spots that I first pulled up onto on the pre-fish. Pulled up there, and Grant was right beside us where we were. And I was like, oh, if Grant's here, then I must have found his little honey hole.
Nice.
And we're just on this big wind drift. It was a westerly, and it was just pushing us. But it was that quick, the wind. I don't have power poles or anything like that, so to slow us down, I was constantly on the electric motor. Disadvantage of having your scope on that electric motor is you can't really use it.
Sure.
Saturday for us, it was just a matter of leaving our lure there, sent it up, and they were picking it up off the bottom 5 just like every now and then. So hurricane sprat, it's all we throw, pretty much all that's in both of our bags.
Right.
130 of jig heads, and that's it. It's pretty much all we throw. And I've actually been throwing the hybrid shrimp, Pro Lure hybrid shrimp since they came out. And what a great lure that thing is. Slow sink. You can watch it clear as day on the scope, and that's been good for us this year as well. So,
yeah, okay. Yeah. Interesting. All right. So if you're into the sprats, what's your colour of choice down there?
Cleaver is, you can't get away from it, and it doesn't matter where you go.
Yeah.
That cleaver, I don't know what it is, but when the bite's hard and the bite's tough, you can nearly guarantee you chuck on a cleaver sprat and you're going to get it. You're going to get the bite, whether they're big or small. And we go cleaver, and we do change a fair bit, but tend to just rip off the other colours. And sometimes I will run that UV sickle, I think it is, or machete, depending on watercolour. But cleaver's the go-to for us. And we just got stack loads of them in the boat, to be honest. That's where all our tackle is.
So so you're just basically fishing sprats all the time, pretty much wherever you go.
Everywhere we go.
Okay.
And it depends. Like everywhere we go, we're fishing sprats. So both of us have probably got 2 or 3 rods already tied on with sprats. But like if Lake Mac for me was sprat and the hybrid shrimp. I haven't been able to change away from them 2 lures at the moment.
Okay. Well, makes packing your tackle box pretty simple.
Yeah, if you've seen what I've got and all the gear, it's like I'm using 2 things out of 1,000 different lures. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, and if I was to go into an ABT non-boat, I'd probably them 2 lures and maybe a cranker crab's probably the only thing I'm going to take with me.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, one thing about the sprats and the basin is they're so close to the Duros or similar. And the Duros going back 10 years, 15 years were just dominating down there.
Yeah. I've still got 2 packets of them, but I won't use them. They're just still sitting in my tackle bag.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I had a few, but last time I went to use them, I pulled them out and they hadn't lasted. They'd broken. So
yeah, I had the same thing. I pulled one out and the tail just fell off it. It's like it disintegrated and the plastic or whatever it's made out of got brittle.
That's it. Very good. Tell us about some of the fish. Did you get them there on that first spot?
Yeah, so when we got there, we pretty much got our bag by 9 o'clock straight away. They weren't great fish. 9 o'clock, bag was in, and then it was just upgrade. And yeah, the fish were all about the same size. We was weighing some of them, but you'd had these little chunk fish that were weighing bigger than some of the bigger ones. You know what I mean? The bigger the fish, we felt they got skinnier.
Okay.
And then the smaller fish, they were like fat. They were loading up. They were full of like little cockle shells and stuff like that. They were just very fat. Run like a 40 centimetre bream. They didn't stop in the wind. It was great. Yeah, we stayed there pretty much all day on this one spot down south, down Basin View end.
Okay. And what are you fishing them on? Are you on leader and braid or?
Yeah, leader and braid all the time. Leaders vary for both of us. I've got a preference. He's got a preference. 5 pound, 4 pound, 6 pound.
Okay.
I swear some days like we could be both using identical lures, identical braid leader, and one's catching, the other one's not. This weekend for us, it was pretty much both of us. We were both catching, so it was a good day.
Yeah, so good. And was there any standout fish in the bag?
Oh, not really. I think maybe the biggest one we had was maybe a 32 fork, maybe. I can't quite remember. We didn't go weighing them. We didn't go measuring them. We're mostly weighing fish.
Sure.
Because like I said, we had smaller fish weighing bigger than the bigger ones. So.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. All right. Well, look, it was enough to bring you back in good play. Like you must have been maybe 4th or 5th?
6th we ended up in on day 1.
So obviously still in touch.
Yeah.
What was the plan for day 2?
Day 2, we found, I think it was a week prior to, we found this cockle bed and we pulled up on it and we had 2 or 3 casts. I got absolutely smoked in there and Dean pulled out 2 cracking fish. We're actually pulling blacks out of this cockle weed. They're only little blacks, but we're pulling them out.
Mm.
And we just said to each other, you know what, we spent all day where we were fishing on day 1. How about we work and go try something else early? Yeah. If we could pull like at least 2 good fish out of them cockle weed that we knew that were in there, would be within a chance. So that was down Basin View area and we flew down there and first cast, I think it was my first cast, I got absolutely smoked. I had no chance of stopping the fish. It was in the cockle weed and that was it for me. Wasn't very happy. A lot of swear words were going crazy.
Right, okay.
I think Dean ended up pulling out a fish pretty much straight after that. Wasn't great. Maybe just legal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a few casts after that. Got smoked again.
Yeah, right.
And I was pretty over it by then and tying new leaders and stuff like that. And before I could finish tying my leaders, Dean had the bag there pretty much in all 5 fish. They were only just legal fish, nothing close to what we had on day 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, by 9:40, I think we had our bag again.
Yeah, wow.
And then I noticed the wind started to fall off a little bit, and I just said to Dean, you know what, we'll just go and persist back where we started on day 1, and if we spend the day there, we spend the day there. And we went there. The wind died off enough for me to be able to point the nose in the opposite direction to the wind and literally just zone in on the scope. And that's what I did, and just casting sprats and finding 2 or 3 fish together. I found if you found one on its own, it wasn't very interested. It would have a look and then swim away.
Sure.
But if you found 1 or 2 or 3 close together, they kind of pack attacked it. And if you just kept twitching it away from them, and not letting it get to the bottom, they, generally were coming over and just smashing the lure.
Yeah, right.
I pretty much upgraded the bag on the scope. Yeah, within about an hour and a half, I reckon.
Okay.
And then, Dean was just netting the fish for me and he was having a ball just netting fish. He was stoked. And all of a sudden he tied on a gulp shrimp and had a cast and we thought he had the bottom, and then all of a sudden this thing just started swimming off and I'm calling for a stingray, a Jew, and then a 95 centimetre flathead just pops its head up and I've only got a little net and I could only get the head in there and it ended up going in and I picked it up and we got a bycatch, a 95 centimetre flathead. So we're pretty stoked with that.
Yeah, trophy fish, mate.
Yeah, so that Dean was very happy with that fish. And then we had actually let the boat just drift out into the middle of nowhere. And it was funny because I walked up the front and I was like, what's that on the scope? There was just a big blob on its own. I was like, I'll cast at it. And I had a cast and I watched my lure drop, get right next to the fish. I moved it and twitched it and the fish reacted and come towards it. I moved it again and it ate it and took off. And I was like, I think that's a trevally. You're bream fishing, so you don't want to just go ripping them in. And I think it was a 34 fork bream came up. Nice. It was suspended in the water column just on its own doing nothing.
Yeah, okay.
And it was skinny fish, but it was long. It was a good, decent fish.
Wow.
And that was our upgrader. And then we moved off there and we went, where do we go? More north, closer to the weigh-in to get out of the wind a bit. We hit up into some shallow water and pulled some bream out of a foot of water. They were right up there. There was no upgrades.
Yeah.
I think it was half an hour to go. I said, I want to go try this bit of a weed edge where it drops right off. It's weed and it drops into about 2 meters and pulled up there, dropped the scope in the water and I was like, holy, what's that? Had a cast and I got a 200 gram upgrade with 20 minutes to go.
Wow. Well, that made a massive difference.
It did. That 200 grams was insane. And we couldn't believe it. We were like packing up.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the 200 grams is the difference between about 5th or 6th and equal second.
Definitely. So it paid off just stopping there and having that. It was dead set one cast. I seen the fish. The wind was blowing me that quick that I could find them on the scope and literally like cast my lure at them, and I kind of lost my lure for a bit, and then I turned and I found it again, and the fish were just piled up on it. I moved it and I was on straight away.
Yeah,
so
wow.
if we stayed there and had a little bit more time, we probably could have made a few more upgrades, but I was happy with 200 grams with 20 minutes to go. We were stoked.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to round it out. With your LiveScope, you're on Lowrance?
Yeah, all around set up in this boat. I got a 12 on the dash, a 9 up the front, which I try and just track more where I've been and depth with the 9, and then the 16 runs the live. That's all coming off my Lowrance Ghost.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so you got the full kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, mate. I reckon that's a pretty good rundown of the comp. Like we said, the basin does hold up very well with using sprats, and you've just proved that. So you lost a couple of fish early on day 2, I think you said. You lose any other ones? You lose anything else that you think would have made a difference? Oh, I guess you needed 2 cans.
Yeah, we lost fish all weekend. I think I was running 3 pound at one stage. Casting that in the cockleweed, you got no hope. If a lot of the times when you do get that bite in the cockleweed, you don't know. Like they hit it on the drop as soon as you've cast your lure, and if you got slack line, you don't feel it. By the time you've loaded up, they're already gone there and you've broken your line. But yeah, I don't like to talk about fish that we lost. It's only the ones that we got in the bag and that were there, Wade. So
it's everyone's favourite. Everyone wants to know the one that got away.
Yeah, it was a good day, a good 3 days for me and Dean. And yeah, it was awesome run comp by Grant. He always does a great job. Yeah, it's been awesome. So off to, where are we off to now? Botany Bay.
Botany Bay.
And the Hawkesbury next weekend for East Coast.
East Coast. Very, very good. All right, mate. For coming in equal second, what'd you get to take home?
So the way Grant runs it is equal second is he put the prize money from third and second together and split the money in between, which I think that's fair. I wasn't too worried about that.
Yeah.
He runs a great comp and he runs a good set of rules. So for him to do that, and that's the way he chose to do it, we weren't unhappy at all. I think it ended up 12.65, something like that, each between us and Marlon. But
yeah, that's nice.
Pretty good.
Very good. All right, last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Podium Wraps, chucking his hat on second day. I wanted to wear it all comp, and I think chucking his hat on has made the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hurricanes, they always do wonders for us. And Grant for running an awesome comp, the New South Wales Tournament Series.
Very, very cool. All right, well, look, congratulations on a great competition and good luck in the next couple.
Awesome, mate. Thanks for the chat.
Thank you. Okay, so up next in equal second place, I have the Bream Burglars. They dropped their 5 fish on day 1 on the Saturday for 3.19, backing it up with a similar bag on day 2 at 3.26, giving them a total of 6.45. And equal second place, I have Hallam and Marlon. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Very good. So, look, you guys have had a nice little comp there and an unusual one. There's not too many comps where you'd end up coming in equal second. What we might do is we might roll straight into pre-fish and getting ready. What do you guys do in terms of pre-fishing for this comp? How'd you get ready?
Yeah, for pre-fish, we just went out with a plan and we thought just cover as much ground as possible. And we had a plan to fish shallow because we thought more people would be keen on fishing deep. So we just tried to cover as much ground as possible. And we had a kind of pretty good pre-fish. We found fish where we thought they were going to be. Probably ended up with about a 4-kilo bag over the day. But there's kind of a period in the middle of the day, it was a full moon. So as soon as the kind of morning bite went off, we kind of struggled a bit. And then as soon as the sun got higher, it picked up a bit more.
Okay. And when you say shallow, what do you mean by that? What sort of water depth are you talking?
Anywhere from 1 foot to 3 foot, just kind of working the sand patches in around the weed. So just where fish are taking refuge there.
I mean, in my experience in the basin in recent years, I haven't done very well in the shallows. Like I know that obviously Marlon, you're pretty local and Hallam not so local at the moment. Have you found that there's fish migrating back into the shallows there?
I find it this time of year that they tend to, like, obviously they spawn or get ready to spawn in the deep. but I quite often find that the better conditioned fish still are shallow in some areas, and they're not sort of everywhere, but there are still sort of congregations of shallow fish that are usually in good nick and more or less the fish that you want on comp day. So whilst we definitely don't get as many bites as the guys that fish in the deep, generally if you do get 5 good bites and convert them, you can usually get a pretty decent bag. But for pre-fish, we basically just did a lap of the basin, essentially, and didn't spend too much time in any one place. And the conditions were pretty good on Friday. It was a windy, southerly with a bit overcast, so it was fishing reasonably good, we found. But yeah, obviously it was a bit of a change to the comp days, unfortunately. But yeah, pre-fish was pretty fun. We covered some water and caught some fish, mostly shallow.
Okay. And before we move into comp day, what were you targeting with your own hard bodies or soft plastics or surface?
Tried a bit of everything. We mostly just soft plastics, but a few jerk baits, a few crankbaits are thrown. Hallam got a really nice fish actually on surface, which was a bit disappointing. We had a double hookup, which was probably equated to about 1.9 kilos, nearly 2 kilos for the double hookup. But one of those was on a surface lure. But yeah, we tried a bit of everything. But yeah, they were pretty willing to eat on the pre-fish, we found, for most things, really. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, let's roll straight into comp day. So you head off in the morning. Tell us about your first spot and how you went about catching a couple.
Yeah, well, we went, as you could probably imagine, we went straight to that spot where we got the double hookup for that those couple of big fish. And unfortunately, there was a boat parked in pretty much right where we wanted to go. So we sort of had to go around a little bit further and started fishing some shallow flats. And I think we got a couple of okay bites early.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was looking all right. And then, yeah, the sun got up and, yeah, it was clear skies, strong westerlies, full moon all the night before, and we just could not get a bite. I think we got 2 smaller ones sort of in the next couple of hours, but it basically got to 11:30 and we had 4 fish in the well and only 2 of them were only decent size. And me being a local as well, knowing all the spots there, we tried a bunch of different spots and I was stumped. I was like, I do not know where we're going to get a bag here. We're in no man's land. So we basically just then sort of had to scrap it a little bit, our plan for the day, and go to some areas where we didn't actually fish on the pre-fish, or we didn't actually catch fish on the pre-fish, and try a couple of different options. And we think maybe from about midday onwards, we picked up a couple of other key bites and ground away to get our bag, basically. A couple of maybe 1 or 2 upgrades, but yeah, we didn't get a whole lot of fish or a whole lot of, it was fishing pretty bad, to be honest, too. Just got enough bites to get a bag together.
Yeah, well, I bet you were saying we needed those 2 fish from yesterday, but that was high on the conversation list.
Yeah, we're saying that all weekend, to be fair. So, yeah, not much change there. Definitely caught those on the wrong day.
Fair enough. What did you get them on? So what sort of techniques?
We were mainly working kind of sprats on 1/20th, so just casting it out, letting it slowly drift down, then giving it a few twitches, and then I was finding most of the bites were kind of on the fall, just on a slow, gentle fall. We're getting the bites, just getting a good thump. But we tried jerk baits. I had a bent taken by a tailor on surface, so that was a bit disappointing. Almost took surface lure around after I got that good bite on pre-fish. But sprats the key lure for us.
Okay. And colour? What's your choice down there?
Cleaver.
Pretty
okay. Well known on that.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait till you listen to the rest of the episode. Very cool. Once you moved off and went to some other spots, did you stay shallow or did you move into the deep?
Nah, we stayed shallow. I can't fish deepy. I'm bad at it and also don't have the patience, or I don't know what's wrong with me, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. So I stayed shallow and, yeah, we actually found a few fish that were sort of like out of the wind, which was funny enough, considering it was a strong westerly and you're fishing shallow. Fish some areas that were almost sort of glassed out and you're seeing the fish.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, just spots you wouldn't really think you'd get any bream, really. We ended up getting one sort of kicker that was about a bit over 34 forker, but that was pretty much the bag. Other than that, it was just a couple of 29 forkers and 30-something forkers. That was, pretty average fish. So that was pretty much the day, more or less. Yeah.
Now, I understand that you don't want to fish deep, but there's kickers swimming around there in 8 metres of water.
Not that I can catch.
Fair enough. All right. So you ended up with, what do we say, 3.19. Where were you guys sitting overnight?
I think we were third.
Yeah, based on what I can see, they're probably third. So that's a good start to the weekend. If you're in third, I mean, you're a couple of kilos behind, unfortunately, but still pretty good.
Bit of a race for second place at that point. But that Marl got the bite and that 34 forker, which kind of kept us in contention.
Yeah, very, very good. All right. Day 2. So you've had an okay day. You've caught your bag, had a bit of a struggle on the Saturday. What was the plan for Sunday?
The plan was more or less to sort of scrap what we did on the first day and do another pre-fish, because the pre-fish was better than the first day. So, well, the first comp day. So we thought we might just do a bit of a lap of the basin again and see what we could come up with. But we went straight back to that spot where we got those kickers on pre-fish and started there. And I had a bit of a stinker, so I let Hallam take the reins. He was pretty dominant, but we had a good sort of couple of hours.
Okay.
Yeah. Marlon picked up a fish early. It's good to, obviously start third. So got out before the other boats and kind of got to the spot where we wanted to fish. Marl picked up a 32 forker, and then which got us off to a good start. And I think I banged maybe 3 or 4 in a row, kind of around that low 30s, high 20s range. So we had our bag by 8 o'clock, which was a bit of a relief after the first day and us only having 4 fish in the well and 2 kind of smaller fish. So we fished shallow in the same areas, picked up a few there, fished another spot kind of near there with a similar structure where we picked up a few as well. And then after we hit that, we kind of, all right, we'll kind of go for the rest of the lap of the lake, but we kind of fell into the same thing as the day before. It was that mid-morning, pretty tough, made it a lot easier already having a semi-decent bag when we weren't catching much from probably 8:30 till 11, and then kind of the bite picked back up again.
Okay, so you're having a hot run, Hallam. What's it like on the boat? Like, are you geeing each other up, or is there coaching, or what's happening there?
I think we're pretty happy just to see fish in the boat. Get a couple of good ones. When you're fishing a teams event, I think that doesn't matter who's catching them, as long as you're catching them. Generally a pretty good vibe and everyone's happy. How are you feeling, Mark?
Yeah, we were pretty happy in the morning, and then the longer the day went on and we didn't get any upgrades, it just sort of got a bit more flat by the hour. And then we sort of knew basically from 8 o'clock that we just needed 1 or 2 kickers and we would have had a pretty good bag. But yeah, once that sun got up, we just couldn't find anything that was anything close to being an upgrade. So basically just fished all day, and it just was almost even worse than the Saturday. And then we eventually found one area that held a couple of fish, and I hooked up to a decent one, and then we ended up dropping that one at the boat, which probably would have been the only upgrade. Hard to say how big it was. It wasn't massive, but it probably would have helped. And then that was pretty much it. We essentially had what our bag was at 8:30 in the morning was what we took to the weigh-in. So we just had a bit of a terrible grind for the rest of the day in the strong westerly and warm sun. So it was we just did a bit of a tour of the basin, burnt some petrol, and then went back.
Fair enough. And was it the same pattern? Did you get most of them on sprats on the Sunday?
Yep. We couldn't buy. The pre-fish was good. We caught fish on pretty much everything we threw. And then comp days, I don't think we got a fish on anything other than a sprat. And then by the end, we just gave up throwing anything else and just started throwing that, both of us. And because we wouldn't get a bite on anything else really, basically.
Okay. Let's go into that a little bit deeper. So in terms of, were you getting the fish with the lure on the bottom, or were you getting it on the drop, or was there any sort of pattern there?
Bit half and half. The ones that were eating ate pretty well, we found. Like sometimes you'll get the fish where they will just pick it up off the bottom and you won't actually feel the bite. It can be a bit tricky with dropping fish and things like that. But quite often I find at this time of year, because the water temperature was still pretty high, it's just something to do with the fish, I don't know, shutting down because of the full moon or they're spawning, or I'm not really too sure, but the ones that do commit to actually feeding generally bite pretty hard and you can actually catch them, but there's just few and far between. So most of the time it's just casting it out, flicking it around, and they'd hit it on the drop pretty often. You'd feel it and set the hooks and away you go. So it was pretty straightforward. It was just a bite every hour and a half or so, and some of them were tiny. So yeah, that was about it.
Fair enough. And have you got forward facing on the boat, or just not?
No, might be another reason why we don't fish deep too much. Andrew, my electronics is pretty minimal on that boat. I've got an electric motor and my pair of sunnies, and that's my forward-facing sonar, basically.
That's you. Well, that's all right, mate. That's all right, especially at the basin. There is a lot of good fish in the shallows at times. Last thing before we move off the fishing, what sort of leaders were you running? So how finesse did you go?
Oh, on the first day, I was running 6 pound pretty much on everything, and Mal had 4 pound on his sprat rod and then kind of 6 pound on the other rods, I think. But when we kind of started fishing that glassed out clear area on the first day when Mal picked up a couple, I really struggled. So I think I was just fishing too heavy. So that night after the first day, tried on 4 pound, and yeah, definitely found I was getting a fair few more bites, which was good.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that might have impacted especially the first, if there was a bite period before that sun got up. Yeah, you definitely seemed to get a few more fish.
Yeah.
Very good.
Probably wouldn't have helped or wouldn't have hurt the situation, possibly even going any lighter, knowing that who won it. And I know how old Jason fishes and what line class he tends to fish. He's generally a fair bit lighter than 4 pound, and he did pretty well. So possibly could have helped. But yeah, we didn't in the end change our leaders from 4 basically all weekend, other than Hallam on 6 on the Saturday.
All right. So look, all in all, it was enough to bring you back in a tie for second place. What did you guys get to take home for second?
Second place. So they added up the third place and second place and split that evenly between us. So I think it was about $630 each or something. So
yeah, cool. So between you would have had $1,265, I think is what the other boys said. So as a total. So maybe you got ripped off $5 there if you got $630.
Oh, gee whiz.
All right. Last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, I'll start. Grant, first and foremost, for running that New South Wales Tournament Series competition. I think it's improving year on year and getting more popular, and there's more and more people fishing it. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic comp. So, yeah, thanks to him. I'll also thank Steve from tackleaddiction.com.au. Helps me out every now and again with a bit of gear. And also to Hallam for being my partner for the weekend, and to yourself, DP, for putting on these podcasts. I know I listen to them a fair bit and they're great. So, yeah, thanks to those guys.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thanks to Marlon for providing the boat and having me over the weekend. It's always a good time fishing. So fished 2 comps with him in the basin now, won 1 and second in the other one. So can't complain about that.
Cannot complain about that.
Helps having a local.
Very, very good. All right, guys. Well, look, congratulations on a good comp. And yeah, good luck in the next one.
Thanks, DP. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, mate.
All right. So coming in first place, we have Team Shimano. They dropped a massive bag on the Saturday weighing 5.15 and then 3.55. Still the biggest bag on day 2 as well, giving them a total weight of 8.7 and a win by a massive 2.25 kilos. With me, I have Jason Mayberry. Welcome back to the show, mate.
Thanks, Dopey. Good to be here.
Mate, that is a monumental bag difference, like just over 2 kilos. Mate,
it was absolutely insane. Just to drop a 5 kilo bag on the scales is something you don't do every other day, and to do it in your own water, especially with the way it's been fishing recently, it was just one of those days.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit, I was watching the weights overnight and I was like, a 2 kilo lead, like that's going to be hard to run down, but you actually extended it a little bit.
Yeah, well, I said to Mick on the start of day 2, I had to apologise. I said, Grant's got the Monster Mover prize, and I had to say, sorry, but we probably won't be in the running for that prize. So,
not from that far in front. Any place you'd be able to get is Monster Loser, and that'd be a long way down. So
that's right. We'd have to donut and then probably come back with some late penalties to go backwards that far.
That's right. I mean, to be fair, you would have been in 12th place if you caught no fish on Sunday.
Yeah, right.
So it's not horrible.
No, definitely not.
All right, mate. Tell us about the basin, mate. You've been down there pre-fishing at all, or what do you do in preparation for this one?
Didn't get out pre-fish day. Got out the Sunday before for a couple of hours, the last day before pre-fish ban, and sort of just ran a few spots, pretty much trying to find some quality fish, which I was really lacking. The best quality fish were found in 25 foot of water, which anyone that knows me knows that I don't fish deep. But the best solid fish, sort of those 700, 800 gram fish, were all in 25 foot of water.
Right.
So I was kind of hoping I didn't have to draw on that, after a few hours on Saturday.
Yeah, right. That's like the old days of the basin. Often you'd get good schools out there in that deep water.
Yeah, no, that they are. They're good quality. Like, they're just fat. It's like they're pre-spawn.
Mm.
All just schooled up in the same area. Actually went out and had a flick today, and they were still there. Sort of, I don't know what's holding them there. There's not a lot of bait or anything there. It's just they're just sitting there in their fat as.
Yeah, nice. All right, well, let's roll straight into comp day then, mate. You got obviously a cracking bag, which really set you apart from the field. Mate, tell us how you went about it.
The first spot, I said to Mick, look, we're going to be fishing shallow, 3 to 4 feet of water, based on a hunch that I had after the rainfall that we had through that week. So we had through the week, we had about, I don't know, my gauge had about 120 mil in it for 7 days of rainfall. So I figured some fish would be pushing out of creeks and whatnot, stormwater outlets and the like, and milling around with all that extra food. So it was run to one of these little back flats that I've got, sort of electric down, and sort of started fishing along, and with the LiveScope was able to see a few fish moving around, but not a great deal.
Mm.
And throwing, like at that point, was the throwing a sprat and came up tight to the first fish, probably within the first 20 minutes.
Wow.
Which was maybe a 34 or 35 fork black.
Okay.
So when that happens, it's sort of like, okay, the theory's, could be right.
Yeah.
We sort of persisted for a bit and both caught a few fish, a lot of little yellers, like really post-spawn yellers, down to, I think the smallest that morning was about 27 fork.
Okay.
And just did one pass on this flat, rotating between shallow crank, a jerk bait, 100 mil squidgy wriggler, which is a go-to, a plastic I go to after in rainfall and in winter. Just trim down a bloodworm wriggler, 100 mil bloodworm wriggler, so that it's a lot of tail and small body.
Okay. Can you run me through that? Because there'll be a lot of people listening that probably don't know what that means.
Yeah, no. So I basically get a 100 mil bloodworm wriggler, squidgy wriggler, trim off the top fin. It sort of turns into a round shape, and then probably trim anywhere from 10 to 15 mil off the front. Okay. So just cut it with a pair of braid scissors, and then run that on about a number 2 hook, 2 gram jig head. So I've still lucky enough to have a few of the old squidgy ball heads. So it sort of sits on the bottom and small hops, and the tail is so long, just gives so much action. And they just, stop, start, slow retrieve, and you just get a pluck. And when they've plucked it like that, you set the hook, and it's almost always a solid hook up.
Yeah, right. I mean, that reminds me of bushy fishing those years and years ago. 2 gram head. Are you on straight through or braid leader?
With that one, I was braid leader using the Kairiki 8 Plus braid. I think it's about 6 pound. And then 4 pound Oshia leader, fluorocarbon, and a nice long leader with that one. I like braid with that, just with the weight of the jig head. You don't want, in my opinion, you don't want a lot of stretch. You need that braid to be able to lift it up out of the mud and get that lure working.
Yeah, nice. So, in terms of your fish, it sounds like you got a few fish in the first spot.
Yeah, so we basically fished out. It was probably about a 300 metre run. From memory, we only did it the once on the first day, and basically picked up the makings of a really good bag. So we picked up 36 fork black, a 34 black, a 33 black, a 33 yellow, and I think it was about a 34 yellow. In that, upgrading those smaller yellows, like I remember Mick got a 32 yellow that we were able to roll out with a 33. So at about, I think I said at about an hour, we'd been out for an hour and we'd had that bag. And it's sort of, like I said to Mick, it's sort of, I don't think I want to do it again. I want to save it for Sunday.
Sure.
Don't want to sort of pressure the fish too much. We were catching a lot of fish, a lot of yellows. Like they really pushed in and were feeding pretty hard.
Yeah, okay.
And with that, they come on pretty much anything that we threw.
Yeah.
It was just they were in there to feed. And I put it down to the right place at the right time.
Yeah, okay. I mean, you said before when you started that you had sprats, cranks, wrigglers, and I think maybe something else. So
jerk boats as well, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Okay. And was there any standout or it didn't really matter?
It didn't really matter. I think sprats probably stood out the most, being that, like, I fish them on 2-pound fluoro. It is the rod I pick up first every time. Mick was throwing them as well. So that was probably the rod that I had in my hand the most.
Mm-hmm.
But it was more like there was fish moving around, so it was depending on the depth and how fast you wanted to move the plastic. I was just rotating rods, but they were eating everything. So it was less of a challenge. It just a matter of trying to pick out the better bites.
Yeah. And were you able to target the fish with your LiveScope?
Oh, I don't target individual fish with my LiveScope. I just, as long as there's fish moving, you can tell when they're better quality fish in that sort of scenario, they're in groups of 1s and 2s. So the yellows they were really schooled up, and you could actually see them moving in a group of 8 or 10 fish, where the better fish were 1s and 2s, and you could sort of target those areas, whether you're catching those fish. Like I don't have it tuned in like Morgo does. I like to know that, okay, that's the area. If there's a fish there or 2 fish moving there, I'd like to hope I can try and tempt one at least.
Yeah.
At least every once in a while anyway.
Fair enough. All right. So look, I take it that wasn't your bag that you ended up with, so you must have headed off somewhere else.
No, it was very close to the bag. So at that stage, like I said, we had a 36 forker, 35, a 34 and 2 33 forks, mixture of blacks and yellows. So as we're leaving this area, there's a big flat. I said to Mick, look, we might just fish through this flat. There hadn't been a lot of boat activity. You could sort of see it from our first spot. And I have caught big fish and lots of big fish there over the years. So we're sort of just rolling through, picking up just average size fish there. And at that point, I tied on a brown Suji shallow crank.
Yeah.
Sort of started just slow rolling that. And I mean, like slow bowling it, kind of the speed you would on the Mitchell Reef down in Gippy Lakes, where you pretty much just got it tickling the bottom and just moving along very slow. And that's on straight through 3-pound that I throw that.
Right.
And we're just chatting away. And I said to Mick, I really don't know that we're going to be able to upgrade this bag today. Like I didn't have the confidence that we were going to find bigger fish anywhere else throughout the basin, or better quality fish anyway. Probably 2 or 3 casts later, I come up tight and fighting away, and turns out this 44 yellow decided to eat the chubby sideways.
Nice.
And sort of as you see that thing arc, and because it was a yellow, it was nice and shiny, like it had not long come in from the ocean from the look of it, and big arcs and all that. 3 pounds straight through. You sit there, you're saying out loud, "Well, stay on, stay on, stay on."
Yeah,
so
I can see
this thing, it just arcs and big shiny silver arc. Like, oh, here we go. So they're just fighting around we're in about 2 foot of water, and there's no real sticks. There was no threat, but it was still, you can see the lure in its mouth sideways, and you go, I hope the hooks are in. So yeah, we sort of get it close to the boat. Mick's grabbed the net and probably tried to knock it off there at one stage. It was just the adrenaline's pushing through us both, and he's, I want to get in the net, and it sort of zigged, he zagged, and it's like, oh, just careful. So it was definitely a relief when that one went in the net. And those that saw the photo, it was, I haven't had a smile on my face like that for a long time. So it was a good fitting to actually get an upgrade in the bag and a 40 fork. I haven't caught a fish of that caliber for a while. So it was awesome.
Nice.
It was about 9:30 at that time in the morning. So there was a whole lot of hours left in the day. And we'd sort of had a bag that I'd had no confidence that we were able to upgrade it after that fish anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it takes the pressure off for the day because you're like, oh, we just go fishing now till it's over.
Well, it's exactly what we did. I said, well, I just want to go pre-fish now. Tomorrow, Sunday being the day that we needed to make sure we got fish, the bag, I never thought it was 5 kilos, but thought it was definitely in the 4s.
Yeah.
Sorry, well, we need to have a plan for the next day. The wind was up, like it was blowing westerly, so there was definitely wind on flats. There was so many options. So away we went and sort of just pre-fished a series of spots to get a plan for the next day.
Yeah, okay. And before we get into Sunday, did any of those spots that you pre-fished on the Saturday, did they play on Sunday?
Yes, they did. And one of them's an area that I fished the week before and just found a stretch of bank that was about 50 metres long that I got 2 decent bites in during my pre-fish.
Mm.
So on the Saturday, went sort of back, fished a lot of the area and then finally went and did the bank again. Once we hit the bank, it was that same 50-odd metres of bank that had some fish on it.
The fish? Okay.
So it's like, okay, well, for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, like you can look at it, the bank's probably 500 metres long and it looks the same from the start to the finish, but there was just this one section that held the fish.
Yeah, it's crazy. Bream do those silly things.
Oh, it's you don't know why. It's whether there's a bit of extra food there. It's the same depth. I don't know. The only thing I could say, it's probably nearest to a stormwater outlet, which after the rain could have held a bit of extra food.
Yeah, potentially. And one more thing on the Saturday, did you go and have a flick in the deep?
No, that's silly.
Fair enough.
Not a hope in hell. It was actually watching the boat zip around all over, and like you can see the islands from some of the spots, and there was, watch the boats come and go from there in the deep spots around the islands, and it's just like, oh, thank God I don't have to do that.
100%. And you can see by the other bags that people had, there's a lot of people there with sort of 600 grammers, but they really weren't getting bigger fish. So based on the results.
No, well, like I said, I haven't seen fish of that caliber in there for, well, I'm going to say all this year. I haven't fished a lot. It's maybe fished it a dozen times this year, and maybe that's a lie, maybe 20 times this year.
Fair enough.
But I just not finding quality fish like what we had. And the fish were just in such good condition. They were just fat as.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. All right. Sunday morning, mate, you're 2 kilos in front. How are you feeling about that? You feeling pressured, or you just like, how was that?
Well, I'm going to be honest, like I must have had some pressure because I slept like a mongrel that night. Like I was up half the night, just the brain was churning. It's like, oh, I just didn't want a donut.
Yep.
Knowing how that basin has been fishing, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Like it could have happened.
Yeah.
Because it has been difficult. So once I launched the boat, and as I launched the basin to drive across, it's sort of the wind in their hair, the kind of time to think. It's like, right, yeah, here we go. We've got a good chance to really, send it home. But that sort of pressure goes off after, not till you've got a bag, but definitely once you get your first fish in the well anyway.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. Well, that's my next question. Tell us about the first fish.
First fish, so run straight back to the same spot, day 2, and probably within the first 15 minutes, I had a small yellow, about 26 fork, maybe 27 fork in the live well. It's like, no donut.
No donut.
That was just the pressure off early, which was nice. But having said that, it was very slow. We picked up 3 yellows on the first sort of run, collectively, Mick and I, but only, I think, 25, 26 and 27 fork yellows.
Okay.
The 1s and 2s that I'd see on the LiveScope just weren't, there was just no evidence that there was some quality fish moving around. So whether the area got a lot of pressure the day before, who knows? Like it's just that's fishing. They have fins, they move. But
was there any pattern at that stage to the lures? Were they all on? What were they on?
So day 2 was all on sprats in there. I tried dives, the squidgy wriggler. Mick was throwing cranks too, and just could not really get them. They'd really shut down. They'd slowed right down.
Okay.
So it got down to a point where, well, I did it a second pass and sort of went a bit further from where we started a little bit deeper, just coming up to a bit of a bank, and flicked the sprat in just onto the edge, and it probably at about 5 foot of water at this stage, 4 or 5 foot of water where the lure was landing. It let it float down. Like I only fish it on a 1/28th or 1/20th jig head.
Yeah.
So it let it settle down the bottom, as you would expect a prawn to do. And then I was just giving it just a rattle, just a small vibe with the rod tip, not moving it far. So a couple of twitches like that. I got a bite, missed setting the hook. It's like, rightio, I think they know how they want to eat it.
Okay.
Cast back in, did the same thing again, got a clunk, set the hook, 33, 34. Actually, no, I think that was a 35 fork black.
Right. Okay.
It's like, okay, I know how they want to eat. It's a shame that was the only one in there.
Okay.
It was the last bite we got in that bay, and that's not from lack of trying. Certainly a lot of extra boats in there the second day. It was boats came in, went out, fished different parts of this stretch. But they all left us alone, which was nice. But
yeah,
definitely seen more pressure that morning, which tells me it's likely a lot of those boats may have visited the day before as well, which really shut the fish down.
Yeah, okay. It's interesting. With your sprats, so you said you're on a 1/20th jig head. The question I had, you said you were rattling the tip. Are you fishing it rod up high, or are you fishing it rod low, rod to the side?
With that, it's rod up high, and just trying to, I don't know, in my mind, it's just sitting on the bottom shimmering, just sort of like you see a prawn wanting to bed into the mud. That's the way in my mind that the lure's sort of presenting. And Bream just come up, see that, just go, "Ooh, I'll have you. Thank you very much."
Yep, suck it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. All right. And I would point out at this time, you've got a 35 forker plus 3 others. Like you've actually already won.
Apparently at that stage, quite likely, yeah.
Yeah, you're not knowing that. You only had to get 1.3 to equal. So you did.
No, like I wear one of those smartwatches, and my stress levels were up all day Sunday, so I hadn't had a chance to relax. It was like still needed to get the bag, and then even when we got that, still need to upgrade. It wasn't until later in the day that I went,
we've done pretty well. Yeah, fair enough. All right, so you got 4, and you've had to move away. What'd you get up to?
Yeah, so that's about 9:30. So was heading back to the spot I mentioned earlier, where that 50 metres of bank where we'd got them, and on the way there, we're driving along, and there's a reef with a whole bunch of cockleweed around it. And I've looked at it as it's sort of coming up to it. I'd come off the plane. I said to Mick, I've got an idea. So it's like, okay, we'll pothole. There's a bit of a channel between where this reef is and the main sort of mainland, let's call it that. Cockleweed both sides. So there's a bit of a channel that runs through, and through summer, you quite often get them on surface through there.
Mm.
And I don't know, for whatever reason, I thought, they've got to be in there. Like they're in the bay either side, so why wouldn't they be here? There's food source, rain, hard structure. They're going to be drawn to hard structure. So in we go, we're literally fighting cockleweed. Both Mick and I would cast in, and it's tangled up, and it's like, bad idea. I sort of found a bit of a patch, flicked in my sprat on 2 pound, and sort of just talking away, and got a bite, bang, undersized bream. It's like, okay, they're here. Did it again a few times and nothing. And then I put in a cast, and it gets to the bottom of the weed, and the weed's probably about 5 or 6 foot long. So there's a lot of cockleweed. Yeah, it gets to the bottom. I leave it sit there, give it another little rattle, clunk, bang, set the hook. This thing tears through the cockleweed. I'm on 2 pound. It's like, radio will just, like, you can feel what it's doing, but it's not aggressive. Like because the cold temperatures, they're fighting hard, but not really aggressively. Was able to get this thing out, 34 fork yellow, about 3 foot of line that was just shredded but held together. So there's our bag.
Yep.
And like I said, it's when it's meant to happen, it's meant to happen. And you catch fish in that scenario, it's like, well, it's on today. So sort of retie, tried that a little bit more, and then there was nothing else. So shuffled over to the bank where Mick got the first fish off the bank there, which was an upgrade. I think it was a 28 forker or 29 forker. I've just sort of fought that to the boat. I've put that in the net, said, here's the net. I've cast in, bang, got the hook up as well. So there's the 25 and the 26 forker out of our bag.
Beautiful.
So we got the makings of better bag now. Still had one, the 27 forker was still in there, which I wanted to get out of there. So sort of fished that through. And then where'd we go? Headed over towards One Tree, Swan Bay sort of area.
Yep.
And fished through an edge there. There were a lot of boats there, and I believe a lot of people caught fish there over the weekend, but we couldn't turn a fish. It was pretty quiet for us. So then the wind had picked up. We jumped on a weed bed and then fished pretty much from One Tree all the way through to Kangaroo Point, over the top of that ribbon weed. Stewie Dunn used to do it in the kayaks back in the Southern Bream days.
That's right.
And with there's patches of weed, there's patches of mud, there's patches of cockleweed. It was like it's coming back to life.
Yeah.
We're running through and picking up the odd fish. It was pretty quiet through the start, but then once we sort of got down to the Kangaroo Point end, there was more cockleweed, and through there got another couple upgrades. I think the best out of there was about another 32 forker. So that got rid of the 27 and yeah, so we ended up back at the weigh-in with a 35, a 34, a 32 and a couple of 28s.
Nice.
29. So 3.5 kilo, thanks for coming.
Exactly. And like we said in the beginning, biggest bag again on day 2. So yeah, biggest bag both days, pretty good going.
Yeah, no, like after the 32 fork, Mick said, can you rest now? You're happy now? I said, I think I am. So it just would be nice to get the heaviest bag both days. As corny as that sounds, it's just like it ticks a box, and to actually do that was pretty cool. Obviously, just got lucky with a lot of fish, or a couple of fish. Had a hunch, it paid off on the Saturday, so it was just a great tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, mate, that's a pretty good account. I think we probably covered off most of the things fishing wise. Tell us, what did you get to take home for first place?
First place, we were $2,800. Also managed Big Bream with that 40 forker, which weighed 1.3.
Yeah.
That was a lure pack from fishing.com.au from Adam.
Nice.
So it was pretty cool. I haven't got a Big Bream for a while. So, yeah, you always need extra gear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, mate. And look, last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Oh, definitely. Obviously, I want to say shout out to Grant and his team for running the comps. It's filled a void that was missing there for a little while. It's nice to get have a tournament series that's sort of trying to replicate the Southern Bream series and all bets. 5 fish limit. So yeah, he's doing a cracking job. He's doing a cracking job. So well done to him. Obviously, just want to say huge shout out to Shimano. They've looked after me for a lot of years and continue to do so. So massive shout out to them.
Very nice. And good to see you still using wrigglers. How good are they?
Oh, mate, it's all horses for courses, and everyone throws a bloodworm wriggler of some sort, and squidgies, you can't get past them. They just work.
All right, mate. Well, congratulations on probably one of the biggest wins I've seen, and yeah, good luck in Botany Bay in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Stevie. Yeah, Botany's got me a bit stressed. I don't know how well it's going to fish for us, but especially after the Hobie, all you Hobie guys go and pound the crap out of it. So
yeah, we're going to flog it.
Oh, I know you will. So hopefully you leave a few there for us all for us boaters to catch.
Oh, mate, you got fast boats, mate. You'll have to travel further.
Drive further. No worries.
Thanks, mate. I'll talk to you soon.
No worries. Thanks, Stevie.
All right. So there you have it. So I think, what have we learnt from this? So probably if you're going to go to the basin, you better take a sprat. That'd be what I'd take out of that. And then amongst all your other lures and what have you, but definitely sprats play quite heavily into this one. Couple of things as we're transitioning to the lure fishing project. There was a hiccup last week when I put the wrong interview in and it got uploaded and I had to change it. And then if you don't refresh your browser, you still maintain the old interviews. So that was with the ABT Oz Open. So if you've still got the wrong interview in the middle of that, you need to shut down your app and it'll probably refresh, hopefully. Aside from that, we've got some nice movement in the collective. So 2 different tiers there now. We've got the Vault, which is just basically a listen only. It's got a little bit of bonus content at the moment, which I will build over time. So right now, it's a little bit little, but as we move forward, there'll be more and more there, which won't be available publicly. Also, and then obviously the collective, if you want a more interactive experience, jump onto the collective. We've got a lot of good stuff happening there. And without saying anything too much, at the end of the year, it's not confirmed, but I'm feeling like we're going to have a very significant giveaway. So yeah, I can't say too much more than that, but I'm pretty excited about that. Look, I hope you enjoy listening. I hope you're still here, hanging in right to the end. Let me know what you think about the intros and outros. Personally, I was pretty happy with the guys who donated their time to do that for me. So obviously very appreciative of that. And yeah, let me know what you think. All right, there you go. I'll talk to you next time on the Lure Fishing Project.
Thanks for listening to the Lure Fishing Project. For extra episodes, the Big Bream series and more, join us at the Lure Fishing Project Collective. We'll catch you next time.